Who's with us? It's Deeds. Oh, we're not worthy. Oh,
We're not worthy, Deandra.
Deeds.
You guys.
All right, let's get it started in here. Nerd.
Blah, 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 blah. All of that chit-chat's gonna get you hurt.
I'll bring you in warm. Or I can bring you in cold.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Toss a coin to your witcher, a friend of humanity.
Thank you.
All right, Knights. We needed to up our YouTube game, so we're like, let's hit a lovely girl to help us. Because let's face it, nerds like to see girls.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see us either. So we're like, let's get Deeds back on because people actually listened.
Well, what
We had her on
happened?
the podcast.
What happened last time is we had Deeds on, and she has all these friends, and we noticed this huge spike in our listeners, and then it jumped back down, and we're like, wait a minute, we need this back. She's a full-time member now.
Yeah, we need to have her on regularly. We need to have her on the speed dial, if you will.
Yeah,
now
exactly.
I see why you invited me back.
Yeah,
You-
it's for your friends.
It was all
your friends.
shallow.
It's called networking.
All right.
Come on.
Yep. Touche.
Oh.
So not only does Deeds is the master of music and concerts, she's also the master of travel, stuff that we can't do for another 5 years.
It's so
We're
true.
like, let's have her on to make us miss the things that we miss the most.
I know, that's literally our thought process. We thought, everyone is really missing travels and stuff. Let's have a little bit of nostalgia factor by having Deeds on with us, because she's been everywhere and done everything.
Literally everything. I even
Yeah.
heard she swam with sharks.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, right?
Yep. Best moment of my life so far. I peaked. I peaked at that moment.
I'm still not convinced it just wasn't like a Google thing where she just pulled out some images and she's just, catfishing us, but with sharks.
No, have
she
a little
looked kind
faith.
of photoshopped.
Have a
I'm
little
not gonna lie.
faith. Okay, so this was the YouTube video I really wanted to make, was Deeds talking about swimming with sharks, because I don't know anyone else who swam with, like, great white sharks. I've met people who are like, yeah, I swam with sharks, and it was like nurse sharks, like, oh, okay, yeah, I've swam with bass, and it was a distant cousin of a shark, so.
Dude, I won't even swim with a rubber ducky. That scares me.
I get scared in the pool.
I don't even get in the water until you take out that yellow duck.
Deeds,
Yeah.
why don't you go ahead and just tell us all about this trip you took to swim with the great whites? And if you want to do it in an Australian accent, that totally works.
Please do.
Man, no. I'm
Sorry,
gonna leave
Dinko.
that. I'm gonna leave that to Johnny. The best thing I can say with an Australian accent is the dingo ate my baby.
I was awful. Dito, we say Mackers.
Okay,
You
no
say
more.
Mackers.
You are banned. No more Australian accent.
Yeah, I don't want to offend any Australians, so I'll just tell you the story with me.
Okay,
which
perfect.
Is me. Yeah, so me and my brother, it's actually been a big bucket list thing for me for a long time. So I went to Australia with my parents and my brother. Searched where you need to go to do it there, and it's this little tiny town on the very south coast of Australia. It was called Port Lincoln. So we had to take like a tiny little airplane to get to this tiny little town, and yeah, it was a whole thing. We got there and we wanted to eat, and it was a Sunday night when we got there, and everything was closed because the town closes at like 4 p.m. Anyway, so,
Take that, everybody else. We close at 9 over here in Utah.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, so there's not even McDonald's? Okay. Anyway, so we woke up early the next morning. We had to leave at like 5 a.m. Took a boat out I think we had to go for about 2.5 hours to get to where we were going to dive with the sharks. And when we got there, I remember somebody being on the deck being like, shark, there's the shark. And everybody was excited to like see the first one. And when I saw it in the water, all I could think was, I'm going to get in the water with that. It was huge. So they just kind of give you a little training course because you have to breathe with a respirator. And I had never breathed with a respirator before.
It's crazy.
So then we had to get into wetsuits that were super thick also because the water, the next piece of land below Australia, right, was Antarctica. So the water was like ice cold. Anyway, we got in the cage, and I was the first one in. And they said, "Do you want to practice breathing on a respirator?" And I was like, "No, I'll be fine. I think I'll be fine." And they put weight belts on you too, so that you sink to the bottom of the cage. And so I got in.
I'm nervous for you already. Goodness.
It gives me some anxiety just talking about it. It's like PTSD. Anyway, so you sink to the bottom of the cage, and I remember it being freezing cold, took my breath away, and then I couldn't breathe because I'm breathing through a respirator, and I froze, and I had to mentally like hold onto the bar and be like, it's okay. I don't know where the sharks are, but they're around me. They're chumming the water, so the water was a little bit bloody, but yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing.
So how many sharks were there? And did they say, were they like 10 feet sharks, 12 foot, 30 footers?
So the ones that we saw, I think they were about 10, I'm going to say.
Oh,
but
it's so big.
We were
Crazy.
Yeah, we were there all day until about 2:00. And right when we were about to leave, a massive one came in. And I mean, I think they said it was like 14, 15 feet. But it was just wide. It was awesome. So I was a little bummed we didn't get to swim with that one. But I'll never forget seeing the shark for the first time swimming towards you, because they're chumming the water. So it's swimming towards you to get the fish, and just massive, so wide, and they kind of swim by you and they're looking at you, and I'll never forget its eyeball just watching you as it swam by.
Oh,
it was amazing.
You're like, I don't know. I keep shifting over here because I keep getting shivers down my spine. Like, so yeah, I've done some. It's not diving; it's snorkeling in cold water, because we were diving for. They're called abalone, so it's like a crustacean, and legally you can't do it with a snorkel. So I've been in cold water, and like I know that there are sharks in like the general area, but like it's so shallow that you know you're not going to see a 30-foot great white or anything like that. But just hearing your description, like I can just picture being in the water with one, and I'm like, oh. So was it like? So some people say like these moments are, I don't know if spiritual is the right word, or just you're like one with nature or what. Did you have that feeling at all? Yeah. Did you have that feeling at all?
I did, actually, because after I got my breathing under control of not being nervous to breathe on the respirator, I was in the cage alone, and there was 2 sharks at the time that were just swimming around, and it was like, I guess the word I would use to describe it is maybe magical, but it was like, it was so beautiful. And I know people are so afraid of sharks and they're like a villain, but they're really not. But just watching it swimming, just seeing its power was awesome. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, I've always heard that the real bullies of the ocean are the dolphins. They say sharks kind of leave you alone, but dolphins will go. They'll headbutt you. They'll mess around with you. That's always what I've heard.
Yeah. I don't know. You've watched too much Dolphin Tale, I think.
Or Finding Nemo. Look at me. I'm a flippy little dolphin. I'm going to do a trick for you.
Yeah. But it was, I'll never, ever forget it. But the next thing on the list, I'd love to swim with whale sharks. That would be really awesome.
Oh, whale sharks. I was thinking killer whales like orcas.
Oh.
I wouldn't want to swim with those. Those things are scary. But I wouldn't want to swim with great whites either, so, you know.
You wouldn't do it?
If I was in a cage, I would do it, I think. But even then, I'm like, would I? Would I?
Would you, Johnny?
I'm through the transitive property. I'm doing it through you. So you did it, so I did it.
It's too much work to get there for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I'm above the water. I don't need to be all the way submerged.
Okay. You're a boat dweller.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I like to pretend to surf.
There's so many more things we want to talk about. I think we should wrap up our video real quick. Thank you, YouTubers, for watching this. If you want to watch the extended edition of our discourse with Deeds, where we'll talk more about swimming with great whites, all of her other travels, and all the many concerts she's been to and is planning on going to, check out our full podcast. You can go to deadlightnerds.com, find our YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and, of course, all of our podcast stuff. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast. Find us everywhere. So
Everywhere.
Anything you want to say? Go ahead, Johnny. Sorry.
I was going to say, I always give Deeds a farewell peg dance for her birthday, so thanks for coming. And I'll do one for you.
I've been
waiting. It's her favorite thing in the world.
That's the only reason I came on the podcast today. I was hoping for that.
Thank
A little
goodness
pet
for
dance
editing,
for
so
ya.
I can get rid of that. All right. Well. All right. We'll see. We'll see you on the podcast. See you on the flippity flop.
See you, Knights.
Toodles.